Very good morning, good afternoon, good evening, based on what time you're watching this video. Now, we'll discuss a topic which is quite a burning topic now in your financial year 23-24, because this provision section 43B H is going to be applicable for the first time in financial year 23-24. So this has got various consequences. What we'll be doing is we'll be discussing various issues based on the frequently asked question by the business enterprises and try to understand one by one what these provision talks about. Also, a disclaimer before we start these frequently asked questions, that make sure that you do consult your chartered accountant or the tax consultant before you do apply the same for your business enterprise. Now, moving on, let us see the first generally or frequently asked question, which is basically what is this section 43BH all about? This 43BH is all about a provision where it tells that your expenses in your income tax act will be allowed only on your payment basis, if at all the same is to micro and small enterprises. What is micro enterprise? What is small enterprise? We'll discuss. But it tells that your expenses will be allowed only on payment basis, which basically means that if at all I have made a purchase or expenses in financial year 23-24, but the payment is in financial year 24-25, and it is not within the time frame of your MSME Act, Micro Small Medium Enterprises Development Act, then I cannot claim that expenses in financial year 23-24. I can claim that only in financial year 24-25. Now, basically, it talks about allowance of expenses on payment basis. You will be allowed an item as an expense in your income tax act only when you make the payment. Now, this is linked to your MSME Act 2006. Now, for that, you need to understand what is the time allowed under MSME Act for making the payment. So, your MSME Act basically allows you a time limit to make the payment. If at all there is an agreement to make the payment, then you have to make the payment to your vendor or supplier who's under MSME Act within 45 days or the agreed days, whichever is earlier or whichever is lesser. Which means that if at all I enter into an agreement with my vendor to make the payment within 90 days, then though I have agreed to make the payment within 90 days, if at all I am covered by MSME Act for making the payment, I have to make him the payment within 45 days. So it is maximum 45 days. But in case I have agreed to make the payment to my vendor or supplier within 30 days, then it is 45 days or agreed period which was earlier. Then I'll stick to 30 days. So it is simple. If at all there is an agreement to make the payment to the customer, I have to go with that agreement, but that period cannot be more than 45 days. If at all I have agreed to make the payment to the supplier or vendor and vendor is also okay with 90 days, then I cannot take that 90 days. Though it is agreed by both the parties, I have to go with 45 days. And in cases where I have agreed to make the payment to my supplier or vendor within say 30 days, then I have to stick to that 30 days because it is within 45 days. If at all, in certain cases, very rare cases, there is no such agreement to make the payment within a prescribed time. It is possible. Then in that case, forget about 45 days, go with 15 days. Go with your 15 days. If there is an agreement to make the payment, you have to make the payment within 45 days or agreed period, whichever is earlier. If there is no agreement, then you have to make the payment within 15 days. Now, basically, this provision is the MSME provision is linked with your income tax provision. Now, what is your income tax link? If at all you want to claim an item as expenses of purchase in the year of purchase, make sure that you make the payment within the time given under MSME Act. Now, let us take the first example. So, let us assume that you have made a purchase on 5th of March 2023, which is financial year 23-24. And the payment for the same is made on 15th of March 2024. Purchase is on 5th of May 2023. 5th May 2023, financial year 23-24, and the payment is 15th of March 2024. That is financial year 23-24. In that case, you can claim that amount as an expense in the same financial year, even though this payment is not within the time frame of MSMED Act. So here we are not concerned with your 45 days, or we are not concerned with your 15 days. Not relevant. So if your purchase is in one financial year and payment is in the same financial year, even though it is not within 45 days, 15 days, actually you need not worry. That will be allowed in the same financial year. So here you need not worry about 45 days, 15 days and all. That worry is not there. But if I change the scenario and tell that you have made a purchase on 10th of March 2024, which is your financial year 23-24, whereas the payment is made on 10th of April 2024, which is next financial year 24-25. Now issue starts only when purchase is in one financial year and payment is in another financial year, only then the issue starts. Then you are required to see whether your payment was made within the time frame of your MSMED Act. In this scenario, we have assumed that the agreed time between the supplier and the customer was 90 days. When the agreed time was 90 days, you will stick to 45 days. Check whether the payment was made within 45 days. In this case, you will find that the payment is made within 45 days. Why? 10th of March 2024 is the purchase date and 10th of April 2024 is the payment date, which is within 45 days. Why are we going with 45 days and not 15 days? Because here in this scenario, we have assumed that agreement was there to make the payment within 90 days. Whenever there is an agreed period more than 45 days, you will stick to 45 days. So we have stick to 45 days. Even in this case, when there is a year of purchase 23-24, year of payment 24-25, but it is within the time limit of MSMED Act that you have made the payment, no issues at all. You will claim that expenses in the year of purchase itself. No issues at all. In the year of purchase itself, you will claim that as an expense in your income tax act. So though the purchase happens on one date, but the payment happens on another date, but it is within the time frame of MSMED Act, no issues at all. You will claim that amount as an expense in the year of purchase or expense itself. Where the main problem lies? Let us take that third scenario. Assume that your date of purchase is 20th of Feb 2024, which is financial year 23-24, and you have made the payment on 20th of May 2024, which is financial year 24-25. So purchase in one financial year 23-24, payment in another financial year 24-25, and it is very clear. Even assume that there was an agreement to make the payment. Even if you assume that, and even if you assume that there was a period, say 90 days, same date, 90 days, but you will not take 90 days for MSMED Act, you will stick to 45 days. So you will clearly find that the payment was not made within MSMED Act. Here we are sticking to 45 days, assuming that the maximum time as per your MSMED Act, assuming there is an agreement, and the agreement, though it is for more than 90 days, we will stick to 45 days. So if you see the date, purchase date was 20th of Feb and the payment date is 20th of May. Clearly the payment is not made within 45 days. Please understand that in this scenario, year of purchase is 23-24, year of payment is 24-25, and the payment did not happen as per MSMED Act. You cannot claim that as an expense in financial year 23-24, year of purchase, not allowed. You can claim that as an expense only in financial year 24-25, which is year of payment, which is year of your payment. In simple language, you have to understand that your books of accounts will show it as purchase in 23-24, but that will be again added to your income as per your income tax statement when you're filing your ITR, and this will be added. This will increase your income and you'll end up paying more income tax, and this will be allowed as an expense only in the year of payment, which is 24-25. So in 23-24, your income will increase, income tax will increase. 24-25, your income will decrease. Obviously, proportionately, income tax will decrease, but obviously it will have a time impact, and this will be not only for this year, it will be continuously for all the years following there onwards. So this issue is only when year of purchase is 1 year, in our example 23-24, and year of payment is another year, in our example 24-25, and the payment is not happening within the time as per your MSME Act, which is maximum time, which is 45 days, we assume this case, then you cannot claim that item as an expense or purchase in the year of purchase. You can claim that only in the year of payment. Now, two important aspects. First is a rumor which is spreading in the market, assuming that, okay, we'll plan our purchases somewhere in the end of Feb or March so that we'll escape this provision. No, it is not like that. Even if you planned your purchases in the end of Feb or March, and if the payment is not made within the time frame of MSME Act, it will be disallowed in the year of purchase. It will be allowed only in the year of payment. So first rumor which is there in the market, let us break that rumor, make it very clear. Even if you plan your purchases in the end of Feb or March, payment should be made within MSME Act. Otherwise, it will not be allowed in that financial year of purchase. It will be allowed only in the financial year of payment. Second myth, or second important aspect. Normally, when you see the expenses under section 43B, there is a relaxation. What is the relaxation? If at all you're making the payment in next financial year, but you're making the payment within due date of ITR of that financial year, which means assume that you have made purchase in financial year 23-24, but the payment is made in June 24, which is not within the time frame of MSME Act, but within the due date of ITR of 23-24. Even that will not help. Your expenses will not be allowed in 23-24. It will be allowed only in 24-25. See, normally section 43B has got a lot of items, and where normally section 43B tells that payment is allowed, expenses is allowed on payment basis. But if you are not made the payment in this financial year, and if you have made the payment in next financial year, but before the due date of your ITR, we will allow in the year of purchase itself. But for section 43BH, this relaxation is not there. For other points of section 43B, say for example bonus, if you have given the bonus in financial year 23-24, but you have paid before your due date of ITR in 24-25, say for example June 24, no need to worry, you can claim that in 23-24 itself. So that is for other items of 43B. But for section 43BH, this is not there. If you have made the payment in your next financial year, even though it is before the due date of ITR, that will not help you out. If at all the payment is not within the time limits of your MSME Act, that expenses will be allowed only in the year of payment. So that is also another important aspect for you to understand. So these were the main FAQs of your section 43B. Now moving on to the other FAQs. Again, generally asked question. Should I apply section 43B for all my parties? Now please understand, when you're applying section 43B, you take down your list of creditors. You take down your list of creditors or liabilities for expenses, and from there, first filter out trader. If at all you're talking about a trader, whether it is retailer or wholesaler, for them this 43BH is not applicable. You may make the payment within the time of MSME Act, or after that, need not worry. You need not worry about them. That will not be disallowed. All you have to worry about is, in that list of creditor, focus on manufacturer and focus on service provider. For manufacturer and service provider, you have to make the payment within the time frame of MSME Act. Only for manufacturer and service provider. So if at all you have 100 items in creditors and liabilities of expenses, out of which 50 are traders, retailers or wholesalers, need not worry. You can make them the payment at any point of time. Like in all the years, this year also expenses will be allowed on accrual basis. Payment is not allowed. Payment basis is not allowed for a trader. In your list of creditors or liabilities for expenses, only take out your manufacturer and service providers. Even in those list of manufacturer service providers, take only those manufacturer service providers who are basically micro and small enterprises as per MSME Act. Now you may ask, who's micro, who's small? Please understand that whether it is micro or whether it is small, all you need to remember is those enterprises either should be micro, very lesser turnover and investment in plant and machinery, or small. All you need to remember is, for an enterprise to be covered under micro and small enterprise, the turnover should be less than 50 crores and investment in plant and machinery, which is written down value as per your income tax act, should be less than 10 crores. Both conditions should be cumulatively satisfied. Turnover excluding export turnover. When you're checking the turnover, please don't count export turnover. Turnover other than export turnover should be up to 50 crores. And investment in plant and machinery as per your written down value of income tax act should be less than 10 crores. If that is the category, they are either micro or small. It depends. But you need not worry who's micro, who's small, you need not worry. If it is either micro or small, how to find out? See their turnover. It should be less than 50 crores. Don't count your export turnover. Also see their investment. It should be less than 10 crores in plant and machinery, written down value of your IT act. If both of them is satisfied, then it is micro or small. If I tell turnover is more than 50 crores other than export turnover, then it is not micro or micro and small. 43BH is not applicable. If I tell that investment in plant and machinery is say 15 crores, turnover may be less than 50 crores, but investment in plant and machinery say 15 crores. Even then you need not worry because it is not micro and small enterprise. So basically 43BH is applicable for manufacturers and service providers who are micro and small. So if at all I have list of creditors or liabilities of expenses, say 100 of line items or thousands of line items, from there remove traders. Balance left over will be manufacturers and service providers. From there remove those manufacturer service providers who are not micro and small. Either they may be medium enterprises or they may be bigger enterprises, not even medium enterprises. So take out the list of manufacturer service providers. Even there filter out those manufacturers or service providers who are not micro and small. So in a nutshell, you have to focus only on those creditors or liabilities or expenses where they are either manufacturer or service provider and they are micro or small enterprises. So that is the nutshell. Now that is another generally asked FAQs for which all creditors we have to apply your 43B. Now the next commonly asked FAQs, rather I'll not call it as FAQs, commonly made confusion. I am a trader. For me, whether 43BH will be applicable. Please understand, who are you is not relevant. You may be a trader, manufacturer, service provider. You may be a micro enterprise, micro enterprise, small enterprise, medium enterprise, not relevant. You have to take care of your supplier. Who's your supplier or vendor? So again, a commonly made mistake is people look at who they are. You are not relevant. When you are applying this provision, you should look at the status of your supplier or vendor, not your own status. You may be a trader, you may be a manufacturer, you may be a service provider. You may be micro, you may be small, you may be medium, or you may be bigger. See, for your medium enterprises, turnover is up to 250 crores. You may have turnover of 500 crores. Who are you is not relevant. Who is your supplier, vendor is relevant. So please don't look at your status, whether you are micro, small, medium enterprise, or whether you are a trader, manufacturer, service provider. You can be anything. You can be a trader, service provider, manufacturer, micro, small, medium, or bigger enterprises. Not relevant. You have to look at your supplier or vendor's status. So that is a generally made confusion, which we have covered in your FAQ 4. Now FAQ 5. Again, this is normally the query of the business enterprise, that now my supplier or vendor is a manufacturer or a service provider who is either micro or small. So my supplier or vendor is a manufacturer or service provider, whether he is either micro or small enterprise, but he is not registered under MSME Act. Now, whether I have to make the payment to that manufacturer or service provider within 45 days, 15 days. Technically, please understand that you may argue that section 43BH is not applicable. You may fight your case. Though that vendor is manufacturer service provider and it is small, micro or a small enterprise, but it is not registered under MSME Act. So you can very well tell that technically 43BH is not applicable. But our very safe advice is make sure that even in such cases, either make the payment within 45 days, 15 days, because technically they are manufacturer service provider, technically they are micro or small enterprise. Or if at all that is not possible, make sure that you get a declaration from such manufacturers or service providers who are micro or small enterprise, that they are not MSME, and keep it for your records. So yes, you may very well argue that your manufacturer, your vendor who's a manufacturer or service provider, it is technically micro or small enterprise, but they are not registered under MSME D Act. So even in such cases, technically we may very well argue it is not applicable, but better, safer to make the payment within 45 days or 15 days. If not, at least get a declaration on the letterhead that they are not MSME, so that you are not going to be disturbed at a later point of time from your income tax department. So that could be done. Now, again, a very, very frequently asked question of the business enterprise, that my supplier or vendor who's registered in MSME, now he is registered in MSME, but he is basically a trader, but also doing something of manufacturing activity, or he may not do directly manufacturing, he may do manufacturing through job worker. Either he may do manufacturing himself, or he may do via job worker, or he is a trader and also providing service at times. Whether 43BH will be applicable. So basically, I have one of my vendor, creditor, that is supplier, who is basically a trader, but also engages in manufacturing directly or indirectly to job worker, and also service provider. Now this is a very, very common thing. In such cases, your section 43BH will be applicable not only for the portion of your manufacturing or service provider payment, but also for the trading purchases. So people have to be very cautious here. Business enterprises have to be very cautious here. If your vendor is a trader come a manufacturer, or a trader come a service provider, 43BH will be fully applicable not only for your purchases with respect to the item that is manufactured by him, or not only for the payment with respect to service that is provided by them. It is for even the item that he is trading and you're purchasing. So even when you purchase that item from him as a trader, so I may have purchased say 1 crore from him, 70 lakhs was trading element for that particular vendor, and 30 lakhs was manufacturing or service provider. 43BH is applicable for entire 1 crore. Entire 1 crore. Even that 70 lakhs, I have to make the payment within 45 days or 15 days, because technically he is now a micro or a small enterprise. Now I cannot segregate what is the trading purchase or what is the manufacturing purchase. What was the item which was manufactured, then I purchased. No segregation. So that is again another very important point. Now next frequently asked question is, this vendor who's basically a trader, but when he got registered in MSME, he has taken MSME registration as a manufacturer. What to do? No issues. In such cases, you can ask your vendor or supplier to amend their MSME registration, which is technically your Udyam registration. So please make sure that in such a case, ask your vendor to correct the Udyam registration number. Why? Basically, as a trader, but what he has shown in your Udyam registration number is a manufacturer. So what you can ask, you can tell your vendor, please correct the information on your Udyam registration number. Now next question is, can a vendor cancel his MSME registration, that is Udyam registration number? Yes. Your Udyam registration number, which is MSME registration in simple terms, can be amended. It can also be cancelled. But obviously, when that particular person is cancelling his Udyam registration number, he has to be careful, because based on Udyam registration number, he might have taken loans and other benefits. So just like that, cancellation will not be there. But at least amendment is very common, because your vendor may be technically a trader, but wrongful information of manufacturer is given. Ask your vendor to amend MSME and get a declaration from him along with MSME registration that he is a trader, so that you need not apply section 43BH when you're making the payment to him. So that is another point. The next point is again a very commonly asked point, and which is actually based on a rumor. So we have taken this frequently asked question based on a rumor, that should I apply section 43BH for payment to all manufacturers, or it is applicable only for select manufacturers? Please understand that manufacturers which are covered in your MSMED Act are basically manufacturers who are dealing with industry covered under first schedule of Industries Development and Regulation Act 1951. And if you see that lengthy list of first schedule of Industries Development and Regulation Act, you'll basically find almost all manufacturers or all industries are covered. So please understand that it is safer to assume that if your vendor or a supplier is a manufacturer and he happens to be a micro or small enterprise, make the payment within 45 days or 15 days. 43BH is applicable. So there was a rumor telling that no, it is not applicable for say textile sector. It's nothing like that. If you see that first schedule in your Industries Development and Regulation Act, you will even find textiles. So understand that basically almost all the manufacturers are covered. So when your vendor is a manufacturer who's either a micro or small enterprise, make sure that the payment is made within 45 days or 15 days. Now the next commonly asked question is whether the section 43BH is applicable for the payment of interest and commission which a lot of business enterprises will have in the year end. Now understand that enterprise as per your MSMED Act means your enterprise definition is relevant now. It means any industrial undertaking or a business concern or any other establishment, either industrial undertaking or business concern or any other establishment by whatever name it is called. So please understand that if at all there is an individual who's doing the business of earning the interest or getting the commission without an establishment, he may not be classified as MSME. Again, this is when you are going very aggressively. Better, safer to always pay that interest commission also within the due date of MSMED Act. But technically, if the payment of interest or commission is paid to an individual, first point is individual. Second is he is not having any establishment. No such place. He is having his business only run by a phone. Then you may not be worrying about this provision. But if that interest or commission is paid to an individual who is having an establishment, which means he is having an establishment, he is having an office premises, might be with GST or without GST, he is having an establishment, or when it is paid to firms or companies, then surely 43BH will be applicable. So if you are making the payment to an individual, condition number one, individual. Condition number two, not having an establishment. In that cases, you may tell that 43BH is not applicable. And that too, our advice would be, it is an aggressive stand, better to make such payments also. But at least to that extent, you can defend your case. When interest and commission is paid to individual not having establishment, you can fight your case. Advisable to make all the payments within MSMED Act. If not, at least for that extent, you can fight your case. But if interest and commission is paid to individual with an establishment, who's having an establishment or a premises, with or without GST number is not relevant, or firms or companies, surely 43BH will apply. Next is, again, based on your general queries asked by business enterprises, whether 43BH will apply for depreciation in respect of purchase of new capital goods. Yes, if you purchase new capital goods and the payment is not made within your time frame given under MSMED Act. So if you purchase capital goods and the payment is not done within the time frame of section 43BH read along with MSMED Act, which means it is not made within 45 days, 15 days, then understand that in case of purchase of capital goods, you don't claim that entire amount as the expenses, you claim depreciation. Then what will be disallowed? Depreciation on that capital goods will not be allowed in the year of purchase, it will be allowed only in the year of payment. So even for depreciation, you have to be careful. Obviously, here section 32 will also come into play where it is telling that it is mandatory. But here there will be some fight between section 32 and section 43BH. But basically, if you only give priority to 43BH, then you will understand that even if at all you have purchased capital goods, but the payment is not made within the time frame of MSMED Act, that is 45 days, 15 days, then you cannot claim depreciation on that capital goods. You are not going to claim entire capital goods value, depreciation in the year of purchase. That will be allowed only in the year of payment. Then the other queries, which are again based on frequently asked questions, whether if at all a business enterprise is running under presumptive taxation section 44 AD, whether 43BH will apply. No. If at all you are going under presumptive taxation, say section 44AD, then your 43BH will not be applicable. For those who are going under presumptive taxation 8% or 6%, etc., etc., they need not worry about this provision. Another important aspect, again, a commonly asked question for all the business enterprises, whether 43BH will be applicable for your opening balances as on 1st of April 2023. Now, the answer here is yes or no based on the situation. Let us take scenario. Supposing I tell that the opening balance as on 1st of April 2023 is 2 crores. In the current year, for that, against that party, there's no purchase, there's no payment. Then 43BH will not be applicable, because in the current year, you have not purchased anything. But if the opening balance of that party, there is another party where there's opening balance of 2 crores on 1st April 2023, purchase is of 5 crores in financial year 23-24, payment is of 3 crores in financial year 23-24. Now the closing balance will be opening balance 2 crores plus purchases 5 crores minus your payment 4 crores. Sorry, payment is 3 crores in our example. So your closing balance will be 4 crores. And please understand that this 4 crores will go with FIFO method, and this 4 crores is out of your current year purchases. So FIFO means the opening balance would have been paid first. So this 4 crores is of your current year purchases, and surely 43BH will be applicable for that 4 crores because it pertains to your current year purchases. So whenever payment is made, it will be first adjusted against the opening balance, and that if you go in that way, obviously 43BH will be applicable. So you cannot tell that closing balance 4 crores contains opening balance 2 crores. No, this 4 crores, entire 4 crores is out of your current year purchases. So 43BH will be applicable for entire 4 crores. Now again, the next frequently asked question, what if the goods are defective, whether 43BH will be applicable? Understand that in case the goods are defective, you have a benefit given here. You intimate the defect within 15 days. If you inform that defect within 15 days, that is an advantage. Then only when the defect is rectified, from there your 45 days, 15 days will start. So if there is a defect, make sure that you intimate that defect within 15 days to your vendor or supplier in writing. In that case, 45 days, 15 days will not be counted from the date of acceptance. 45 days or 15 days for payment as per MSME Act will be counted when the vendor or the supplier has removed the defect. Say for example, purchase is on 1st of March, defect is informed on 10th of March within 15 days, and defect is rectified on 28th of March. 28th of March. Now the time limit of 45 days or 15 days, as the case may be as per MSME Act, will start on 28th of March. But the condition is inform the defect to the vendor or the supplier within 15 days. If the same is informed within 15 days, you get an extra time. Why? You don't count that 45 days, 15 days from the date of purchase. You count that 45 days, 15 days from the date of removal of defect from the supplier or vendor. Again, another commonly asked question of those business enterprises where there is a retention money. At times, customer will hold some money and finally release the payment to the supplier vendor when the entire project is over. So section 43BH is not applicable for retention money which is held by the customer, but very important point, that should be a written agreement for that. So if a customer is holding the money because it is agreed to retain the money till the project is over or till a particular point of time, then 43BH will not be applicable for the retention money, because it is made to make sure that the project is fully over or the work is fully over. But important condition is it should be as per written agreement, and the payment should be also within the time limit of written agreement. So retention money, if at all I have purchased for 10 crores and I'm holding 1 crore. For 1 crore, 43BH will not be applicable. Condition number 1, there should be a written agreement that I'm going to retain that 1 crore till the work is over. Secondly, I have to release 1 crore within the time given under the written agreement. So that is that. And the final frequently asked question that we have got is, which will prevail? That is section 43BH disallowances, and if at all you don't deduct the TDS, that's section 40A 1A disallowances. So assume that there's an expenses where I don't make the payment within 45 days, 50 days. I also don't deduct the TDS. Now, if you don't deduct the TDS, disallowances is only 30%. Only 30% of that expense is added to income. Supposing there's an expense of 1 crore. If I don't deduct TDS, only 30 lakhs is added to my income. But if I don't make the payment in terms of section 43B, read along with MSME Act, the addition is entire 100%. Please understand that section 43BH will prevail over your section 40A1A, which means in scenario where there is an expense of 1 crore for which you have not deducted TDS, also you have not made the payment in that financial year. Now the point is whether disallowances will be in terms of 40A1A or section 43BH. It will be in terms of 43BH. Entire 1 crore will be added to the income. We will ignore 40A1A. So 43BH will prevail over 40A1A. So these were some of the frequently asked queries that we have received over a period of last, say, around 1 month, and we have made sure that we have given in terms of frequently asked questions, and our opinion, our view on the same is set. Again, at the cost of repetition, it is being said that make sure that before going and directly applying whatever we have discussed in your business enterprise, make sure that you do consult with your chartered accountant or your consultant. Only they may have different opinion, and they are the people who are going to file your returns or certify your audit. So they are the persons for whom you have to go and secondly get an opinion from them. Thank you. I hope that all the majorly asked questions of all the business enterprises have been covered thoroughly. Thank you.